Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
The House voted to reopen the government. Now it's up to the Senate. I'm Tom Hansen, and I'll tell you why politicians on both sides say we're not out of the woods yet.
And back here in the Treasure State, the body of a child who fell into the Musselshell River has been found. Coming up, some new details about where the child was found and what happened.
Good morning to you. Welcome to your Friday. It is 6:30, and now 2 weeks into the partial government shutdown, both sides appear as divided as ever on a deal.
Still, congressional leaders will get together with President Trump for a second meeting at the White House to try to work out their differences over the border wall. CBS's Tom Hansen is in New York with the details.
House, Nancy Pelosi, I extend to you this gavel. Thank you.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her fellow Democrats celebrated their new majority yesterday by passing legislation to end the partial government shutdown.
The joint resolution is passed. The bill is passed.
But the two bills offer no new money for a border wall. Without President Trump's support, they're likely dead on arrival in the Republican-controlled Senate.
We're not doing a wall. Does anybody have any doubt that we're not doing a wall?
Lawmakers appear no closer to a deal than when the shutdown began 14 days ago.
I think the president's made it very clear. Yes. There's no wall, no deal.
Mr. Trump tweeted out this video yesterday and held firm on his position in the White House briefing room while surrounded by Border Patrol personnel.
The wall, you can call it a barrier, you can call it whatever you want, but essentially we need protection in our country.
President Trump is expected to meet with congressional leaders from both parties at the White House today. It'll be their second attempt this week to broker a deal.
I hope they hurry up and get something done, one way or the other. Let's get this over with.
Just steps from the White House in Capitol Hill, one effect of the shutdown is littered around the National Mall. With hundreds of thousands of federal employees not working, volunteers are left to clean up national parks around the country. Tom Hansen, CBS News.
Or people could just haul their own garbage away. Meantime, White House officials have suggested now that Pelosi officially sworn in as House Speaker, discussions with congressional leaders may be more successful. It would be litter if you took your own garbage away.
Yeah.
Opinions expressed here on
they're not going to dump the
morning
cans. Take it away yourselves, people.
Right.
Just those of Chet Lehman, not
those of
KBZK,
KBZK.
KXLF. Yeah,
That's
there
right,
you go.
That's right.
I just thought
I know it's always good. I know, yeah.
Temperature-wise, we're doing okay this morning into the teens and 20s. I'm glad it's Friday. If you get out of here before the boss gets in, you won't get the pink slip. It'll be perfect.
I just saw a car pull in the parking lot.
Woo!
Thank you.
Temperatures back into the mid to upper 30s. It looks like a few clouds in our skies for the afternoon. Temperatures trying to warm up into the 40s as you get into at least part of the next 7 days. We'll talk more about the timing of all this coming up in just a few minutes.
Chet, it's been fun working with you.
Thank you.
In other news, some tough news to pass along, a story that we've been following all week. The Musselshell Sheriff's Office says the body of a 3-year-old boy who was reported missing in the Musselshell River has now been found. The boy's body was found about 2,000 feet downstream from the area where he fell in, east of Roundup at the Kilby Butte Hutterite Colony. Family members told MTN News that the name of the boy is Bryce Hoffer. He was walking with his sister near the river late Monday morning when he slipped and fell in. Now, the Hutterite Colony is keeping the matter private.
In other news this morning, a man who is facing attempted homicide charges from last year has now pleaded guilty. Jonathan Meyer was arrested on January 30th of 2018 in connection with the stabbing that happened in Bozeman earlier that month. Police say on January 19th, around 10:30 p.m., they received a call of a man who had been stabbed multiple times. During the investigation, police searched Meyer's phone and found information on how to clean bloodstains from a knife and spy tracker apps. Meyer's attorneys attempted to get that evidence suppressed, but failed to do so. Now Meyer is pleading guilty to the charge of attempted homicide. Meyer's sentencing will be on February 25th, and if he is found guilty, will face 50 years in the Montana State Prison with 25 years suspended.
And officials in Broadwater County continue to interview witnesses as they investigate a small plane crash that left 2 men critically injured. Sheriff Wynn Meehan said both men were from Gallatin County and in their mid-30s. One of the men was flown to Helena and then a hospital in Salt Lake City for treatment. The other was taken to Great Falls. Meehan did not have an update on their conditions. He says the plane took off from Belgrade Wednesday afternoon and landed briefly at an airstrip in Townsend before taking off again. The plane hit some power lines and crashed into a creek bank several miles south of town.
Well, still no charges filed in an incident last week involving a gunman who fired shots in a Butte office building before jumping from a window. Police say 28-year-old male suspect in the incident could remain hospitalized for several more weeks from injuries he sustained after leaping from the second story of the Synesis building on North Alaska Street back on December 27th. Man first entered the police department lobby with a handgun, claiming people were after him. He then ran across the street to the office building, locked himself in an office before firing several shots through the second-story window and then jumping out. Police are waiting on medical records to determine if that suspect was under the influence of drugs at the time. Law enforcement will not release the name of the man until charges are filed against him.
The Montana Attorney General's office says Montana and 48 other states have settled with a for-profit education company to bring debt relief to nearly 180,000 students nationwide. Under the agreement, the Career Education Corporation will forego collecting $493 million in debt owed by students. In Montana, 289 students will get the relief, totaling more than $572,000 of the state of Montana that will be also receiving $50,000 as well. Now, CEC must also reform its recruiting and enrollment practices. The settlement caps a 5-year investigation into the allegations that the company was misled or deceived students about the costs of enrollment, transferability of those credits, or the potential of employment and the rate of graduates that the CEC programs got a job in their field of study.
Shifting gears just a little bit, when a couple in Butte found their baby Jesus figurine was stolen from their front porch nativity scene earlier this week, to say the least, they were shocked.
MTN's John Amy tells us about that missing figurine and how it's been found.
When Andrea and Jack McCormick returned to their Butte home on New Year's Day after being gone a few days, they noticed the most important figure in their nativity was gone.
It was just sort of the thing you always feared had finally happened.
The figurine of the baby Jesus was part of a historic nativity scene that was first displayed at the St. Helena Church in the long-lost Butte neighborhood of Meaderville more than 60 years ago.
Oh, I was just crushed because I knew my uncle, who had originally owned the set, was always cautious about putting it out because they were always afraid that the figures might be taken.
Andrea McCormick, who is 66, remembers seeing this nativity when she was a little girl at the St. Helena Church in Meaderville, before the church and the neighborhood were removed to make room for open pit mining in the 60s.
And the priest would carry the baby into the church and place him in the crib at midnight mass.
After making pleas on social and local media for the return of the baby, on Thursday morning, Jack McCormick went out to his mailbox and found a surprise laying in the snow.
He came in with a big grin on his face, saying, "Guess what I found?"
The baby was left with 2 Post-it notes attached with a message from someone claiming to be God.
And they said God had taken his son on a trip, and now he was returning him.
Now the McCormicks say they have no hard feelings for whoever it was that took the baby Jesus. They're just happy that whoever did it decided to do the right thing and bring him back where he belongs.
Whoever took it, whatever their reasons, I'm so glad they chose to return it.
The figurine represents a neighborhood that has long since disappeared.
There's still a lot of people out there with Meaderville memories. It was a fabulous neighborhood and a very devoted church congregation.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Now, the McCormicks say that they do plan to continue displaying the nativity scene during the holidays, but they'll keep a closer eye on it. As you said, they found Jesus. That's great.
That's absolutely true.
Perfect. It's amazing. It's
awesome.
You don't want to see a crime like that, but
No,
it's good that it all came
that's right.
together. Happy Friday to you. In a moment, a story out of North Korea where a top diplomat to Italy has been missing since November.
But first, we're going to check in with Bianca Goladriga to find out what's coming up at 7 o'clock.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS this morning, China's historic moon mission reignites the space race. Why NASA says returning to the moon could help us get to Mars. And would you drink iced tea topped with cream cheese foam? Well, that could be one of 2019's top food trends. We'll talk to a New York Times national food correspondent about what else may be on the menu. We'll see you at 7.